There was a photo of the game from the second half. I think it was second half. They kind of encapsulated to me the game. It was Adai and Devin. I think you just forced a shot clock violation. Adai and Devin are over there.
That was first half. Were they in the game or out of the game?
Well, they were in the game, so it must have been first half. They were celebrating with Sebastian and Brandon on the sideline. Adem's going like this, like we got the ball. Guys on the end of the bench are clapping. It just seemed like kind of like a galvanizing moment for the team. Did that whole game just kind of feel like that kind of moment for this team?
I mean, we've been playing good for a couple of weeks now. Like I said, we should be sitting on 4 in a row. Like I've told you guys all along, you know, it's been obviously when you coaching at UCLA, it's not the year you want to have, but it's a long way from over. You know, and when you have great years consecutively, sometimes you're going to be stuck in a rebuild because you're going to have great players. They're all going to leave at the same time. So that's just where we're at. But I've told you all along, we had great guys on the team. And, you know, regardless of, you know, what we've had to go through, which is probably, you know, what we needed to go through. These guys haven't accomplished anything. They're going to have to earn their way. So you got to go through the stuff they've gone through. But through it all, you got good guys. I mean, they want to win. They, you know, any of our struggles and not being able to get over the hump and some of our offensive struggles this year are not for lack of effort with this group. You know, that is not our issue. So their attitude, like, you know, to what you're referring to, has always been like that. They've never not tried. They've never not been on the same page with each other, the coaches. So it's just been a matter of them growing up.
You mentioned after the game about you know, focusing on getting better without worrying about the results. How does that process work? What do you do?
Well, it's hard, but that especially this day and age, because everybody with the 24-hour social media cycle, all anybody cares about on that platform are results. You can improve and the result not be popular on that platform. You can also not improve, but if you win, you'll be popular on that platform, because all that platform knows is you win or you lose. They have no idea whether you played well or whether you've improved, because nobody knows what the hell they're talking about on that platform. And even in the circle of basketball, outside of you guys that watch us all the time, people want to write about us or comment about a team that they've seen play 1 or 2 times, or none. They just see results and they act like they know something. So that's how ridiculous it is, that the 24-hour cycle of what these guys hear. So you have to block that out, because you got to get better, and that's what successful people do. You know, or you stop at some point, right? The minute you stop trying to get better, it's over for you. Like, you know, that's where you will plateau. And any, you know, same as a coach. Like, if I go home and say, well, my players aren't good enough, we're too young, well, what the hell is that going to do? You know, I gotta go home every day thinking, what do I need to get better at? What do I need to adjust? What do I need to change? What do we need to do as a staff to help them? You know, regardless of result. So my point is, that's what I'm sitting around all day Sunday in my backyard when it's 75 degrees, and that's what I'm thinking about. You have to, regardless of result. You know, because the minute you stop doing that, you will plateau. And these guys, I try to teach them, they're young. So, you know, they have to learn life lessons like that, you know, that you got to put into work. And regardless of result, you must continue to try to improve.
So do you tell them no social media, no newspapers?
They're not going to listen. I tell them that stuff's all comical. I can sum it up for them. Okay, if you win, they're going to like you. If you play well, they're going to like you. If you don't, they're going to crush you. I mean, it's just, what's the point even looking at it? I mean, is somebody going to really go on there and say, well, they didn't win today, but I can see the improvement in this kid and this kid. And maybe you three might, because you actually watch every game. But you represent 0.002% of the people on that stuff. So, but it's just, it's a world they live in, But and it's just for everybody. You have to. The other part is, like, man, you start talking about like shooting the basketball. Okay, you have to focus on being confident and the footwork and fundamentals of shooting. You can't focus on the result because Reggie Miller, one of the greatest shooters ever that played here. He focused on doing the footwork and the fundamentals. The results, he knew he was going to shoot 45 or so percent, on his perimeter three-point shooting and be one of the greatest ever, which means he missed 50-something% of his shots. So sometimes you're going to miss 5 in a row. You're focusing on the process, not the result, which is really hard. But that's what you have to do. But I try to be an example for them.
Would example of that be? I think Jan against Arizona went off 2 feet instead of 1 in the lane, something like that. I mean,
yeah, you just got to keep, continue to try to do things that are going to help you become a better player. For instance, like you can't have a good defense if you can't guard the ball. Everything starts there. I learned that a long time ago with Bob. I spent 5 years with Bob Huggins, one of the greatest defensive coaches that'll ever coach a basketball game. And if you're always in help, you're playing from a defensive disadvantage. Yeah, so we spend a lot of time on being able to guard the ball and the strategy of it. It's not just, hey, he's quick, he can guard the ball. There's positioning and fundamentals to that, just like there is to shooting the ball. So, like, that's an area, like, nobody's, again, on that, nobody's going to notice that on social media. That's an area where you don't have to be quick if you know who you're guarding and you know how to position yourself to give yourself a chance to stay in front of that guy. It's just areas where when I talk to you guys about trained or untrained, like for Lazar Stefanovic, that's a new thing on how important that is, and an area where he's improved over the season. And you got guys that never worried about that type of thing, ever, like Sebastian Mack and 7 freshmen, or Amari Bailey last year. Like they never even. That did not dictate their playing time their whole life until you get to this level. But that allows you to have a chance to defend teams if you're not constantly helping, and then you go to the scouting report. So there's just so many things that go into being a good team that take time, that the layperson just has no idea. It's not their fault. It's just, it's not that simple.
What has Darren done better these last handful of games, Darren Andrews?
Dylan. You're thinking it was Coach Savino.
There was a football player named Darren Andrews. Sorry.
Was there?
UCLA football.
How long ago?
It's 2017, too long ago.
I understand messages, but Dylan's effort, to become a full-time point guard at the high level is not an easy thing for the first time. And in this era, where everybody else, most of the guys you're playing against, are in their 5th year or 4th year, and they have 100 starts under their belt. You come into the year with none. So it's been a process for him, but I know this, like, the better your point guard plays, the better your offense is going to look. That's college basketball.
You talked about him being one of the fastest players with the ball. you've ever coached. Can he use that more on kind of drives to the basket than he's doing now?
Well, it's tough, when you start talking about, speed is only relevant when you know how to use it. When you're playing point guard, it's more your decision making. It's very similar to quarterback. Decision making is everything. Speed's a weapon when you need it, and then when to use it. So that goes back to decision making. And then, get the more comfortable you get as a player too, and the more experience you get, you tend to shoot a higher percentage as you get older. All you got to do is go online and look at, as you look at college basketball, who's this guy? And he's played at 3 schools and he's playing his 130th game, and you look at his points per game go up every year, his shooting percentage goes up every year with all these old guys running around. And, that's what will happen for him. And hopefully it continues that way now, because we need it.
Coach, when I'm watching the team in the moment, especially early on in the game, I kind of think to myself, like, the first team that's going to score 60 is going to win this game. Do you ever think like that? Like, before a game, you say you have like a target score. In the moment, you're like, in the game, you're like, man, if we can just get to this, I know that we can get it done.
Not really, because games take on a life of their own. As far as the points, officiating has a lot to do with it. There's a lot, like, for instance, we play Oregon State Thursday, and they shot 49 free throws on Saturday, which is unheard of. But they got pressed basically for 40 minutes. So they end up with over 80 something. So it's just, I think the style of each game can be different. But I don't think that way as much as for us with this team, I just know defensively we've got to continue to be engaged for 40 minutes to give ourselves a chance.
How's Burke looking?
He practiced yesterday, but he's sore. So I wouldn't say that he's all the way back yet, but he's trying to get there.
Sebastian's toe.
We held him out. He was Lance Armstrong yesterday. So he had the yellow jersey.
He was on the bike?
Yeah, they don't like that.
Okay.
So it's no fun.
And Coach, can you talk a little bit more about Devin and Adai staying ready? And
that's key.
Like, when their number was called, you told him to shoot. He shot the ball. I mean, he shot a 3. Like,
yeah.
They did what was asked of them.
And Adai had another 3 that Will made it, but Adai, so offensive rebound, he tipped it out. He kept it alive on the tip out, and Will hit a 3. So if you count, Adai's responsible for 3, his 2, Devin responsible for at least 4 in short minutes. Those were a huge part of the run. So when you asked me that after the game, I couldn't agree with you fast enough, right? But to your point about, guys that are young, you have to stay positive with them in practice, and you got to stay committed to their development and keep them engaged and not let them hang their head, or as in Spain they say, drop the arms. So you got to keep their head up, as we say here, and keep them working, and keep them positive, and believing that their work ethic and their fight and their attitude has got to stay positive, and that will determine whether they get where they want to go someday or not. That everybody's not great, right away. I tell them to go back. There's good and bad to all the social media stuff. I tell them to go back and look at highlights of Kobe Bryant as a rookie. It was Kobe Bryant rookie air balls. I tell them, like, Google that.
Against Utah in the playoffs.
Yeah. And, I say, like, articles for guards. Jason Kidd wrote one time about, slow down. And he, there's highlights of, and he talks about, and he's, like, literally pushing the ball on the break, falling forward. And the guy's ends up one of the best players ever, point guards ever. So, it's just to try to show them that, without struggle, there can be no progress.
With Devin,
Frederick Douglass on that, not me.
thank you. With Devin, how do you see him projecting forward? Like as he gets bigger and stronger, do you see him as a face?
Block shots, make shots. Robert Ory. Block shots, make shots. One thing about he has a talent that he has very nimble feet for a guy his size. So as you saw, like he can finish with his left hand as well. So it's crazy when you see people say, the layperson, what the hell is he talking about? But making traffic layups is a skill. And in basketball, it's a really important skill. You know, some guys, they struggle to be able to see what's coming at them and be nimble enough and skilled enough to make traffic layups. And you saw him get it. You know, I think he got an and one in the game with his left hand. And he does. You know, he's very, very effective with that. And just, you know, I got to continue to work with him on his shooting. He's got some things. Got to get his left hand more off the ball in his perimeter shooting. But you can't teach size and somebody that can run and is quick like him.
Does Lazar have an ongoing foot thing he's battling through? How long has that been going on?
About a month. We just limit his practice time.
Is he making improvement, or do you think it'll be battling the whole season?
I think it's just going to be something we got to get through the whole season. You know, those guys, you know, when you get like a pressure point on your foot, you gotta watch it so it doesn't get worse. You got to maintenance it. So we got to maintenance his load, you know, as far as that goes, you know. So he gets enough work in to stay in shape, and he gets on the bike. So he does practice, but it's just, you know, there's things he doesn't need because he's a veteran. So whatever, you know, stuff he doesn't need, we make sure he stays out of.
What about, you know, the freshmen have not played this much in their career in a season. Do you ever do kind of load management with them?
Extra workouts.
Extra workouts?
Yeah. You're talking about a guy that doesn't play?
Well, they're just not used to playing this deep into it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the difference, like you know, no freshman has ever played or practiced like a college player, ever. And I don't care if you're from, you know, what here or international. Like you know, it's extremely new to all of them. So we've adjusted. You know, when I always get to around January 10th is my target date, is when we start shortening everything that we do and less contact. But with this group, we're very cognizant of, you know, what they can handle, and making sure you're from here on. Certain point out, you got to make sure you're fresh on game night, and mental preparation is key, and trying to get things done and keep your guys' legs fresh for game night. So that's an adjustment, you know, that I've been doing for a while as the season goes on.